The station was full of noise horns, shouting vendors, crying children, but in the middle of it all, one figure stood silently. A woman. Her sari was dusty, torn at the edges. Her hair was messy, tangled like it hadn't been brushed in days. Her face, though tired and sunburnt, had something unexplainable in her eyes, like a story too painful to tell. She stood near platform 6, clutching a small plastic bag to her chest. Inside it, nothing valuable, just a biscuit packet, an old water bottle, and one worn-out slipper. People walked past her, staring. Some laughed. A group of teenagers even took a picture and giggled. Who let this mad woman in? Someone whispered. She stinks, said another. She's probably drunk, a man chuckled, or escaped from somewhere. But she didn't react. She just stood there, like a tree in a storm. Still, watching every train go by as if she was waiting for something or someone. On the opposite platform, Aryan waited for his train, a corporate bag slung on his shoulder, phone in hand. He was replying to work emails. He didn't usually notice people around him, not really, but today, something made him look up. Across the tracks he saw her, not her face, not her clothes, just the way she stood, frozen but not weak. For a moment, their eyes met, and in that moment, Aryan forgot everything. The phone, the office call, the train. He stared at her. Her eyes were full of something: fear, pain, exhaustion, but also strength. Suddenly, 3 men in uniforms approached her. Railway security, Madam ID, one asked. She didn't respond. The second man poked her shoulder with a stick. Hey, deaf and dumb. Where are you going? She flinched. Still didn't speak. She's a beggar. Let's remove her, the third one said. As they began pulling her, she finally spoke. Her voice was hoarse, barely above a whisper. I'm waiting. Waiting for what? One mocked. For someone to rescue you. They laughed. One grabbed her wrist roughly. The plastic bag fell. The water bottle rolled across the floor. People around stared, but no one stepped forward. Some took videos. Others laughed. Aryan felt something tighten in his chest. He didn't know her, but something about this felt wrong. Deeply wrong. Without thinking, he walked across the footbridge to her platform. His heartbeat was fast, loud. He reached them just as one man was shouting, "You'll be taken to the station. You can't just stand here like this." Aryan stepped forward. Let go of her. The guards looked at him. Sir, this woman, I know her. Aryan lied. She's with me. They paused. He stepped between them and her. Her wrist was red from where they'd grabbed her. He slowly took her hand in his. It was cold, shaking. I'm sorry, he said quietly to her. She looked at him, confused, scared, and surprised. You know her, sir? One guard asked suspiciously. Aryan nodded. Yes, she's been unwell. I asked her to wait here. I was just coming to get her. The men grumbled but backed off. Next time, keep her under control. Aryan didn't answer. He just held her hand and walked away, guiding her gently out of the crowd. They stopped near a tea stall. The vendor looked at them curiously. Aryan handed over some money. 2 cups, please, and a bun. He offered her the food. She took it slowly, like someone unsure if she was really allowed to eat. He watched her in silence. She ate without looking up. Tears fell from her eyes, but she didn't wipe them. Do you remember me? He asked softly. She looked up. Her eyes scanned his face. Something shifted in her expression, and then she whispered, "Why did you come back?" Aryan blinked. What? You left years ago. He stared at her, confused. We've met before. She didn't answer. She just looked down at her tea. Aryan tried to recall. Her face? It did feel familiar. But from where? He couldn't place it. What's your name? He asked. She didn't speak. Can I take you somewhere safe? He offered. Still no reply. But she didn't resist when he stood up. She walked with him quietly, hands still in his. He didn't know where to go. His own apartment was too public, too exposed. So he called an old friend who ran a women's shelter. But it would take time to arrange space. So for now, he booked a cheap lodge nearby. 1 room. He gave her the bed and sat in the corner chair. The fan creaked. The bulb flickered. She sat quietly, staring at the wall. Can I at least know your name? He asked again. After a long pause, she whispered Ishita. Aryan's breath caught Ishita. That name, a faded college memory, flashed in his mind. A debate competition. A girl with fire in her voice, confidence in her words. A girl named Ishita Sharma. But this couldn't be her. That girl was fierce, brilliant, full of life. This woman was broken. He stood up, walked to his bag, and pulled out his old laptop. He typed her name and froze. The internet was full of her. News reports, articles, wife murders, husband, disappears without trace. Mental breakdown or murderous intent. Fugitive wife escapes police custody. There were no recent photos, but one old college picture matched the memory in his head. It was her. She was the same girl he had admired from a distance. The same one now sitting silently, her hands wrapped around a plastic water bottle, shaking. He turned to her. Ishita, he said slowly. What happened to you? She looked up, and in a voice so broken it didn't sound human, she replied, I tried to die, but life kept dragging me back. Aryan sat down. For the first time in years, he had no words. But he didn't let go of her hand, because now, he understood. This wasn't just a woman who had fallen. This was a woman who had been pushed, and he was going to find out why. The morning light crept in through the cracked window, painting dull lines on the lodge room's walls. Ishita was curled on the bed, fast asleep, her body tense, even in rest. Aryan hadn't slept all night. He sat on the chair beside her, laptop on his knees, scrolling through article after article about her past. Most reports painted her as a monster, a woman who had murdered her husband and fled, a woman labeled unstable, dangerous, and missing. But none of the articles had any real proof, only statements from sources and a few photographs that didn't show much. The only official statement was from her husband's family, accusing her of mental breakdown and domestic violence. He stared at her now. She didn't look dangerous. She looked like someone who had been running for years, not from the law, but from pain. At 8 a.m. she stirred, her eyes opened slowly, blinking at the unfamiliar ceiling. Then she saw Aryan. For a second, fear passed through her face, but it faded as quickly as it came. "Tea?" he asked. She nodded slightly. He stepped out and brought 2 paper cups from the roadside stall. When he returned, she was sitting up on the bed, her knees pulled close to her chest. He handed her the cup. "I looked you up," he said gently. She didn't flinch, just stared at the tea. "I wanted to understand," he added. "What happened to you?" She took a long sip. Her fingers trembled. "They think I killed him," she said softly. "My husband." Aryan stayed silent. "I didn't," she whispered, "but I watched him die, and that makes me guilty too." He leaned forward. "Tell me everything. From the start?" She took a deep breath. Her voice was flat, tired, but every word seemed carved out of stone. "I was 22 when I married Raghav. It wasn't love. It was arranged. My parents thought he was perfect, rich, educated, charming, but they didn't see the monster inside." Her fingers tightened around the paper cup. "He controlled everything. What I wore, who I spoke to. When I slept, he'd smile in public and break plates in private. He said no one would believe me because he came from a powerful family." Aryan clenched his fists. Then came the bruises. "I told my parents, but they told me to adjust. Everyone told me that. I tried for 3 years. Then one night, he locked me in the bathroom for 2 days. No food, no water, just darkness." Aryan looked at her, horrified. "I broke that day," she said. "When he finally opened the door, I ran. I didn't know where to go. I went to the police. But his family reached there first. They called me unstable, claimed I had mental issues. I was admitted to a private facility." Aryan's eyes widened. "They institutionalized you." She nodded. "For 5 months, no one came. No one called. I was drugged, monitored, and forgotten. And then, one day, I heard the news on the nurse's radio. Businessman Raghav Mehra found dead in his home. Wife missing." Aryan leaned forward. "Wait, you were still in the facility when he died?" "Yes. Then how could you have killed him?" She gave a bitter smile. "That's what I asked. But there was no record of me being inside. They wiped it all. No admission form, no file. It's like I never existed there." Aryan sat back, stunned. "They said I ran away after killing him, that I vanished. But the truth is, I was locked away while someone else killed him. Or maybe, he isn't even dead." Aryan's mind raced. "What makes you say that?" She reached into her plastic bag and pulled out a small, folded paper. She handed it to him. It was a blurry photo taken from far away. A man stepping into a black car outside a government building. The face wasn't clear, but the posture, the height, it resembled the photos of Raghav from the news articles. 3 months ago, a woman I met at a shelter in Jaipur gave me this, said she saw him, alive, working with a new identity." Aryan looked at her. "And you believe her?" "I don't know what to believe," she said. "But I know one thing. If he's alive, then everything they said about me was a lie." They both sat in silence for a moment. "Ishita, we need proof," Aryan finally said. "Real proof." "I've tried," she said. "I have nothing. No ID, no papers. My parents are gone. My friends left me." They sat in a small cafe, hidden in a corner booth behind dusty curtains. Ishita wore a scarf tightly over her head and a pair of thick glasses they had picked up from a street vendor earlier that morning. Aryan had changed his shirt, shaved his beard, and left his phone at the last station to avoid being tracked. Still, they both felt exposed, like someone could spot them at any moment. Ishita stirred her tea slowly, eyes unfocused. "Who do you think sent that message?" Aryan asked, keeping his voice low. She shook her head. "Someone who knows the truth. Someone who doesn't want us finding it." He leaned forward. "We need help, Ishita. Someone with reach. Someone who believes you." She gave a faint, bitter smile. "I used to know people, but the moment my name was in the news, they disappeared." Aryan thought for a moment. "What about that woman who gave you the photo? The one who claimed she saw Raghav alive?" Ishita nodded slowly. "Kenta, she used to clean houses in Jaipur. She said she worked in a government officer's bungalow for 2 weeks. One day she saw him, same face, same voice. She ran, scared. A few months later, she met me in a shelter and gave me the picture." "Can we find her again?" Aryan asked. She left, said she was scared, didn't want to get involved. "Where did she go?" Ishita looked up. "She mentioned her village once. Near Kota, but I never got the name. Aryan pulled out a paper map from his bag. They circled the area. It's a start. He said. They left the cafe and boarded a night bus. The ride was long, dusty, and silent. Ishida sat by the window, staring into the darkness. Her hands clutched the scarf tightly. Aryan didn't sleep. He kept glancing at the aisle, watching every passenger, every movement. His instincts were on high alert. When they arrived at the small town near Kota, they checked into a local inn under fake names. Aryan left to find Kanta by speaking with local workers. Ishida stayed in the room, resting for the first time in days. That afternoon, he returned, eyes wide. I found her, he said. Ishida sat up quickly. Where? She works at a grain shop, just outside town. They hurried to the shop. Kanta, older now, wore a green dupatta and looked much thinner than Ishida remembered. The moment she saw them, her face turned pale. Kanta, Ishida said, stepping forward. It's me. Kanta looked around nervously. No, you shouldn't have come here. They'll find me. Please, Ishida begged. I just need answers. Kanta took them into the back room. Her voice trembled as she spoke. I saw him that day. I was cleaning the veranda. A car arrived. He stepped out. Same face, same voice, but he had a different name. Everyone called him Mr. Rajiv Sharma. Aryan's eyes narrowed. That's the name listed as the new director. In one of the files we found? Kanta nodded. He stayed there a few days, gave instructions to the staff, left quickly. I only saw him twice. Can you testify? Ayana asked. Kanta's face fell. No, I can't. I have 2 children. If anything happens to me. Ishida touched her hand gently. I understand. Kanta hesitated, then reached behind an old box. She pulled out an envelope. I kept this, she whispered. His visiting card? I stole it after he left. Aryan opened it. Rajiv Sharma, Government Affairs Advisor, New Delhi. A phone number and address followed. It was a breakthrough. That night, Aryan and Ishida boarded a train to Delhi. They sat in the shadows, alert to every eye. Halfway through the journey, Aryan noticed a man staring at them too long from the next compartment. Don't react, he whispered to Ishida. We're being watched. She didn't move. When the train stopped at the next station, Aryan grabbed her hand. Get off now. They rushed out just as the train doors were closing. The man followed, but they disappeared into the crowded platform and exited through the rear gate. They walked for an hour before hiring a small taxi to take them to a relative's house on the city's outskirts. It was an old friend of Aryan's, someone who owed him a favor. Inside the safe house, Aryan paced the floor. We're getting close, he said. That card proves he's alive and working in government, but we need more. I don't care about proving it anymore. Ishida whispered. I just want it to stop. I'm tired, Aryan. He looked at her. Then let's finish it. One last time. He picked up a burner phone and dialed a number. A female voice answered. Richu here. Richu, it's Aryan. I need you. Richu was a journalist, one of the few Aryan trusted. She had once covered a corruption case that cost her a promotion, but not her soul. He explained the situation briefly. Meet me tomorrow, she said, and bring her the next morning. They met Richu in a quiet cafe. Ishida shared her story in full. Richu recorded every word. When she finished, Richu leaned back, stunned. You realize if this is true, it's the biggest scandal of the year, she said. Fake death, abuse, power, misuse, and a woman being branded insane to silence her. Aryan nodded. Will you run the story? Richu hesitated. I will, but I need visual proof. A photo, a clip, something to link Raghav Mehra to Rajiv Sharma. Aryan pulled out the blurry photo Kanta had given. Richu scanned it. Not enough, but I can help. I know someone inside the ministry. I'll try to get security footage. As they stood up to leave, Richu looked at Ishida. You're brave, she said, but once this is out, it won't be easy. Are you ready? Ishida looked at Aryan, then back at Richu. I've been hunted, insulted, broken, and buried alive, but I'm still here. So yes, I'm ready. They walked back to the safe house in silence. The sky had darkened. Thunder rolled in the distance. Inside, Aryan turned on the news. The headline hit them like a punch. Breaking. Rajiv Sharma, appointed senior advisor to National Security Department. Below it, a smiling photo of him. Clear close-up it was. Raghav, alive, powerful, and now untouchable. Ishida stared at the screen, her face pale. Aryan whispered, this just got a lot more dangerous. The rain pounded against the window pane. As Ishida sat frozen in front of the television, her eyes were fixed on the image Raghav, now Rajiv Sharma, standing tall in a suit, shaking hands with top government officials. His smile was calm, confident, as if the past never existed. Quickly shut the TV off. We need to move, he said. If he sees the broadcast, he'll know we're watching, and he'll come after us. Ishida didn't respond. Her hands were trembling. The air felt heavier, like it had been pulled from her lungs. I saw his face, she whispered, clear as day. He's not hiding anymore. Aryan knelt beside her. We have proof now. A name, a position, a photo we can go to the press. They won't touch him, she said hollowly. He's too powerful. No one will believe me. We'll make them believe, Aryan said firmly. We're not alone anymore. That evening Richu called. Her voice was urgent. I spoke to my contact inside the ministry, she said. They confirmed Rajiv Sharma started working there, under direct recommendation from a senior cabinet minister. No background check, no interview. Just a letter of endorsement. Someone's protecting him, Aryan muttered. Worse, Richu said. He's part of something bigger. There's talk he handles sensitive transfers, land deals, and departmental closures. He's not just hiding in the system, he's using it. There was a pause, and one more thing, Richu added. Someone knows we're digging. My apartment was broken into last night. Nothing stolen, just ... rearranged. A warning. Aryan looked at Ishita. We need to act before he buries us. Richu agreed to meet again, this time in a more secure location, a private studio in a friend's basement. She planned to record a video interview with Ishita, even if the law fails, she said. The people deserve the truth. 2 nights later, they gathered in the dimly lit room. A camera stood on a tripod. A single light focused on Ishita. Hesitated at first, her palms were sweaty. But when the camera light blinked red, something shifted inside her. The silence of years broke open. She told everything. The arranged marriage, the beatings, the emotional torture, the night he locked her in a bathroom for days, her escape, the trap in the mental facility, the fake death, the label of a murderer. When she finished, her voice cracked. They took everything from me, she said. My name, my son, my life. And now he walks free. With a new face and a clean record. Richu turned off the camera, her hands shaking. That was powerful, she said. Raw, honest. I'll edit it tonight and prepare it for broadcast, Aryan added. We also need legal backing, someone in the system who can push this forward. Officially, Richu thought for a moment. There's one man, retired High Court Judge Justice Prakash Manan. He's known for speaking up against political corruption. If anyone will hear her, it's him. Aryan and Ishita left early, the next morning to find him. The judge lived in a quiet corner of the city, surrounded by old books and potted plants. He greeted them with politeness. But caution, I've heard of this case, he said, eyes sharp. The woman who vanished after her husband died in a mysterious fire? Ishita met his gaze. I didn't vanish. I was hidden, silenced. He listened as they told the full story. When Ishita showed him the visiting card and the photo from the broadcast, his expression changed. I know this man, the judge said slowly. He's handled high-level transfers, shut down inquiries, transferred whistleblowers. He's not a minor puppet, he's the hand behind the curtain. Will you help us? Aryan asked. I can't offer legal protection, but I can offer visibility, Manan said. I'll speak out. If you go public, I'll go public. They can't silence us all. They thanked him and left. Hope rekindled, but that hope would not last long. That night, Aryan received a message. The night stretched endlessly, thick with tension. Ishita sat near the window, arms wrapped around herself, eyes wide open. She hadn't moved in hours. Aryan paced the room, phone in hand, trying to reach anyone who could help. We have to find him, Ishita said suddenly, her voice hoarse. We can't wait. Not even one more day. Aryan nodded. I know. I've spoken to a former CBI officer I trust. She said she'll help, but we need something stronger, an address. A location, a clue. Ishita pulled the blanket tighter around her. He wouldn't hurt him, would he? Aryan hesitated. I don't know what this man is capable of anymore. At that moment, the TV blared from the corner. A news anchor's voice cut through the silence. Breaking public outrage grows over viral video of a woman claiming powerful advisor Rajiv Sharma is her abusive ex-husband Raghav Mehra. Ministry has declined to comment. Meanwhile, several organizations have called for a formal inquiry into Sharma's background. Aryan turned up the volume. In a new development, retired Justice Prakash Manan has openly supported the woman's claims, demanding a complete review of the case that once branded her a fugitive. Ishita gasped. He kept his word. Before Aryan could reply, there was a sharp knock at the door. 3 knocks, a pause, then 2. Their signal. Aryan opened the door quickly. Rish stepped in, rain-soaked, her face pale. I was followed, she said breathlessly. I had to lose them through 2 alleys. They know I'm helping you. Aryan locked the door. What did you find? Richu handed him a pen drive. Security footage. A friend in the ministry sent it anonymously. 3 months ago, a black car arrived at a government safe house in Jaipur. Inside it, Rajiv Sharma, accompanied by a child. Ishita stood up. My son. Richu nodded. The footage isn't high quality, but it matches the boy in the video we got. It's him. Same age, same hair, same birthmark on the cheek. Ishita's legs gave way. Aryan caught her before she hit the ground. They have him, she whispered. They took my child and raised him like he never knew me. Richu knelt beside her. We're going to bring him back, but we have to be smart. If we rush, they'll hide him again or worse. Aryan looked at the footage. Where was this recorded? Jaipur, Richu said. But the house was sold last month. They've moved since. My contact says there's a list of new safe houses under Sharma's control. How do we get it? Aryan asked. I already tried. It's protected by a biometric system. Ishita looked at both of them. Then we need someone close to him. Someone who has access to his schedule, his movements, His secrets. Richu hesitated. There might be one person who, Aryan asked. His secretary, Priya Khanna. She's been with him for 4 years. Rumor is she's loyal, but she has doubts. I met her during a press event once. If I can reach her, do it, Aryan said. We'll wait here. Richu left after changing into Aryan's extra coat and hat to avoid being recognized. Ishita sat back on the floor, knees to her chest. I can't stop thinking about him, she whispered. Does he know my name? Does he remember me? Aryan sat beside her. He's your son. No one can erase that bond, not even a monster like Raghav. The hours passed slowly. Just after dawn, Aryan's phone rang. It was Richu. I have something. Priya agreed to meet. She said she talked but only face to face, and only with Ishita present. Where? Aryan asked. She chose the old lotus calf. It's mostly abandoned now, 1 hour from the city. Be careful. If this is a trap, we'll take the risk, Aryan said, hanging up. They disguised Ishita once again, dressing her in a plain salwar kameez with a dull shawl. Aryan carried the pen drive and a small camera, just in case. The drive was tense. Every shadow looked suspicious. Every bike that followed them too long made Aryan's hand twitch toward his phone. They reached the cafe just after sunrise. It was quiet, dusty, with broken windows and vines creeping along the walls. Inside, a woman sat alone, her back straight, a file in front of her. She stood as they entered. You must be Ishita, she said, extending a hand. Ishita hesitated before shaking it. I'm Priya, the woman said softly, and I believe you. Aryan blinked. You do, Priya nodded. I've seen things over the years, transfers, silenced reports, women who tried to complain. Every time, the files disappeared. The voices vanished. She opened the file. This is a list of Sharma's safe houses. Only 3 are active now. One of them, this one, she pointed to a circled address, is registered under a fake NGO that deals with child rehabilitation. Ishita's breath caught. That's where he is. I think so, Priya said. There's more. A travel plan. Sharma is scheduled to fly to Dubai tomorrow night. Alone, he's running, Aryan said. Or moving the boy. Added either way, you have less than 24 hours. Aryan took the file. Thank you. I'm done staying silent, Priya said. Just be careful. He has eyes everywhere. They returned to the city, hearts pounding. Aryan contacted Richu. Found the location. I'll alert the press, she said. You go get the boy. But Aryan shook his head. No press yet. Not until he's safe. That night, under cover of darkness, Aryan and Ishita approached the safe house. It looked ordinary, 2 floors. Quiet gate, 1 guard. But Ishita recognized the black car outside instantly. He's here. Aryan used the camera drone he had brought. It flew silently over the compound, scanning windows. Finally, on the 2nd floor, they saw him, a little boy reading a book near the window. Arav, Ishita's hand flew to her mouth. He's okay, Aryan whispered. He's okay. But before they could make a move, the lights inside went. Dark voices shouted. Doors slammed. And then, gunfire. Aryan pulled Ishita down. They know we're here. A car engine roared. The black car sped off. Ishita screamed. They're taking him. Aryan ran toward his bike. Ishita jumped on behind him. They chased the car through the narrow streets, hearts racing, headlights blinding. Finally, the car screeched to a halt in an underpass. Aryan blocked it with the bike. The driver stepped out. It wasn't Raghav. It was a decoy, and the back seat empty. They were too late. Arav was gone again, and Raghav was playing his deadliest game yet. The city felt colder than before, even though the air was still thick with summer heat. Ishita sat on the rooftop of the safe house, staring out at the traffic far below. Horns blared. Life continued. But inside her, everything had stopped. Again they had been so close. So close. Aryan stood a few feet away, making phone calls non-stop. He was reaching out to every contact he had left. Police officers, journalists, activists. But the truth was bitter. No one wanted to get involved now. Not after the car chase, not after the shootout. Not when the man they were chasing was about to become untouchable. Rajiv Sharma was preparing for an official trip to Dubai that very night. And Arav was missing. I shouldn't have let you go alone, Aryan muttered under his breath. Ishita didn't turn to look at him. You didn't let me. I begged you to come with me. I still failed you. No, she whispered. We both failed him. The pain in her voice was sharper than anything Aryan had heard before. This wasn't just about justice anymore. This was about a mother's love, torn apart, piece by piece, over years of silence, lies, and betrayal. Richu arrived an hour later, her face pale and eyes tired. She looked like she hadn't slept either. I spoke to Priya again, she said quickly. She was shaken by the decoy switch, but she managed to intercept an internal message. She handed Aryan a paper. It's encrypted. But the address here, this one, she pointed, is not on any ministry record. It's outside Delhi. Remote. Guarded. It could be where they're hiding Arav now. Aryan studied the address. A farmhouse. 80 kilometers outside the city? It's not much, Richu said, but it's all we've got. Ishita stood up. Then we go now. Aryan glanced at her. We need backup. We can't just walk into a trap again. No more waiting, she said sharply. I've waited. For years, I won't wait another night. Aryan looked at Richu, who nodded silently. I'll alert the media to stay on standby, she said. If anything happens to you, this whole story will go live within hours. The world will know. Aryan packed a small bag, camera, voice recorder, flashlight, and a burner phone. Ishita tucked a small photo of Arav inside her shawl. It was the only thing she had left of him. As they drove through the dusty roads toward the farmhouse, the silence between them felt heavy. Aryan reached over and gently squeezed her hand. We'll bring him back, he said. Her eyes were full of tears, but she nodded. By the time they reached the location, night had fallen. The farmhouse was surrounded by high walls, 2 guards. At the gate, the place looked quiet but too quiet. Aryan parked the car in the trees a few meters away. We'll go through the side, he said. There's no security camera on that wall. They crept through the tall grass, sticking close to the shadows. Ishita's heart pounded louder than her footsteps. Every sound felt like a warning. At the far end of the wall, Aryan climbed first, then helped her over. They dropped into the yard quietly. A single light glowed near the back door. They moved carefully, sticking to the edges. Inside, faint voices echoed through the walls. Then Ishita heard Ita's soft voice, high-pitched, familiar. Aarav. She froze. That's him, she whispered. He's here. They reached a small side window. Aryan peeked through. Inside, Arav sat on a bed, clutching a toy. A woman was nearby, talking to someone on the phone. He's unharmed, Aryan said, but suddenly, woman stood and left the room. The boy remained, swinging his legs. The courtroom smelled of old wood and stale air, but for Ishita, it felt like standing in a battlefield. Her palms were damp. Her heartbeat was loud in her ears. She sat beside Aryan at the front bench, her eyes fixed straight ahead. Across the room, he entered Raghav, mehra.alive.com, wearing a well-pressed suit and a faint, practiced smile. He walked in like he owned the place, like the last 5 years of her life had been nothing but a misunderstanding. His lawyers surrounded him, sharp in their arguments and sharper in their intentions. But what unsettled Ishita most wasn't his presence. It was Araf, sitting beside him, quiet, dressed neatly. His eyes avoided hers. Her heart cracked. The judge entered, and everyone stood. Case number 308, Rajiv Sharma, also known as Raghav Mehra, versus Ishita Sharma for custody of minor child Arav Mehra. As the hearing began, Raghav's lawyer stood confidently. Your Honor, my client is a respected government advisor. He raised the child in a secure and stable environment. The respondent, on the other hand, is a former fugitive with a history of mental instability and years of disappearance from public record. Ishita flinched. She abandoned the child. She now returns, stirring public drama, relying on unverified media interviews. This is not a mother seeking love, it is a woman seeking revenge. Aryan rose immediately. That's a lie, Your Honor. My client was institutionalized against her will. She was branded a criminal by a fabricated narrative. We have witnesses, including a ministry insider, a former judge, and a journalist who can prove Mr. Mehra faked his death and manipulated the system to hide both himself and the child. The judge raised an eyebrow. Do you have documented proof? Aryan placed the pen drive on the table. Video statements, digital records, eyewitness accounts, all here. The judge nodded. Proceed. The footage played. The room went still as Ishita's trembling voice filled the courtroom, telling her story. People watched, some in disbelief, some in pain. Aryan turned toward the judge. We ask that custody be returned to the biological mother, who has suffered years of injustice. Let the boy grow up knowing the truth. Raghav's eyes darkened. He stood. Your Honor, this woman is dangerous. She's unstable. She's manipulated the media. I have proof she's being funded by certain activists to attack my career. The judge interrupted. This court is not interested in conspiracies. We deal in facts. And right now, the facts seem heavily in Miss Ishita's favor. The room buzzed. Raghav's lawyer asked for a recess. Outside, Ishita sat on the steps, shoulders heavy. Aryan stood beside her. I thought seeing him again would break me, she whispered. But I feel stronger. You should, Aryan said. You didn't just fight for yourself. You fought for your son. Just then, Arav stepped out with a court-appointed counselor. He walked slowly toward Ishita. She stood up. He hesitated, then spoke softly. Why didn't you come sooner? She knelt down. Because I was trapped. They told you I was gone, but I never stopped looking. He looked into her eyes. I remember your lullaby, the one you sang before bed. Tears flooded her eyes. You still remember? He nodded. Aryan turned away, giving them space. Later that evening, the judge announced a temporary custody order. Arav would stay with Ishita for the next week, monitored by a child welfare officer, while the case continued. Final judgment would be delivered in 7 days. It was a small victory, but a victory. That night, in the safe house, Ishita cooked for the first time in years, simple dal and rice. Arav sat at the table, quietly watching her. Did you always cook? He asked. She smiled. Every night. You used to complain about my roti shapes. He giggled. I still will. They laughed together, the warmth slowly returning. But the peace didn't last. Just after midnight, Aryan received an anonymous email. Subject: Final warning. Attachment: CCTV footage. Ishida entering a government building. He opened it. It was heavily edited footage, spliced to make it appear that Ishida had broken into a restricted ministry zone, a criminal offense. They're setting you up, he whispered. Ishida looked over his shoulder. They won't stop, she said. Even if I win in court, they'll find another way. Aryan nodded. Then we end this on our terms. He picked up his phone and called Richu. Prepare the second video, the one with Priya's statement, the judge's support, and the child records. You're sure? She asked. Double quotes. Yes. Tomorrow morning, it goes live. We take this to the people again. The next day, as the sun rose, the second video flooded the internet. This time, it wasn't just Ishida's voice, it was a chorus. Priya, exposing internal corruption, Justice Menon calling for a full inquiry, Richu outlining the media, manipulation, and threats. The final image, Arav sleeping in Ishida's lap. The world exploded. Protests erupted outside the courthouse. Women's rights groups demanded action. The ministry was forced to release a statement, and finally, the Prime Minister's office announced an independent committee to investigate the Rajiv Sharma identity crisis. Inside the courtroom, Raghav looked furious. He had lost control. Aryan whispered to Ishida. We hit them where it hurts in the light. The judge called both parties forward. This court acknowledges the evidence presented. In light of overwhelming public concern and documented manipulation by Mr. Raghav Mehra, temporary custody is hereby transferred permanently to Ms. Ishita Sharma, with all legal protections in place. Gasps filled the room. Raghav stood. This isn't over. The judge met his eyes. No, Mr. Mehra, for you, it's just beginning. He banged the gavel. Case closed. Outside, the crowd erupted in cheers. Journalists shouted questions. Cameras flashed. But Ishita didn't care. All she saw was Arav running into her arms, smiling. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like a ghost. She felt alive. And this time, no one could take that from her. But as they walked to the car, Aryan's phone buzzed again. A new message. Just 3 words. You were followed. The storm wasn't over yet. The streets were filled with celebration. Banners waved. Protesters danced. News channels showed Ishita and Arav walking out of the courthouse hand in hand, victorious. Justice restored. The headlines read, but Ishita knew the truth. Justice had only just begun. In a quiet apartment on the edge of the city, Ishita, Aryan, and Arav sat together, curtains drawn. The mood was soft, peaceful even. Ishita gently combed Arav's hair while he played with a toy car on her lap. Aryan stood near the window, watching the street below. Any movement? Ishita asked. Not yet, Aryan replied, but I know they're out there. Ever since the final message you were followed, they had stayed hidden. Aryan had changed phones. Ritu had gone offline. The safe house had been rotated twice. But still, there was something in the air. A silence too loud, a calm too eerie. Ishita handed Arav a glass of milk. Sweetheart, go sit on the couch. Mummy and uncle need to talk. Arav nodded and skipped away. She looked at Aryan. What do we do now? He turned toward her. We fight the last battle. A knock echoed at the door 3 times. Then 1, then 2. Their signal. Aryan opened it. Rishu stepped in, her hair messy, clothes damp from the rain. It's happening, she said. They're panicking. I just received an unmarked file. She placed a brown envelope on the table. Inside were photos, documents, transcripts. They were building a secret data center off the record, where they kept files on every whistleblower, activist, journalist, even you. She looked at Aryan. Ishita flipped through the papers, her hands shaking. There's proof of everything, Richu whispered. Corruption, silencing tactics, money transfers, and Raghav is at the center. Aryan scanned the papers. This is enough to bring down half the ministry. Exactly, Richu said. And that's why they're watching us. Ishita looked toward the window, heart pounding. What happens if we release it? Chaos, Aryan replied. But truth. They agreed to upload the full file, encrypted, backed up, and sent to trusted international outlets. But first, they needed a public moment, a speech, a statement, a way to force the world to look, not away, but into the fire. Aryan contacted a friend at a respected news network. A live interview was arranged for that evening. No edits, no cuts, no safety nets. Before leaving, Ishita knelt beside Arav. Will you be okay here for a few hours? He nodded. Yes, Mom. Richu will stay with you. We'll be back before you finish your drawing. Okay. He hugged her tightly. Promise. She kissed his forehead. Promise. At the studio, bright lights shone down on Ishita's face as she sat across from the anchor. The countdown began. 3, 2, 1. The camera blinked red. The anchor smiled. Good evening. Tonight, we are joined by Ishita Sharma, a woman whose courage has shaken the nation. Ishita, thank you for being here. Ishita took a deep breath. Thank you for letting me speak. She told the story again, but this time, she didn't cry, she didn't tremble. She spoke with fire. I was silenced for 5 years. I was called mad. My child was taken, and the man who broke me was rewarded. She leaned forward. But I am not a victim anymore. I am a mother. I am a fighter. And today, I have something to show you. She held up the envelope, slowly pulling out the documents. These are records of corruption, blackmail, and abuse of power. These are names of the people who enabled him, who allowed a criminal to hide behind titles and suits. Gasps echoed through the studio, and then, silence. She looked straight into the camera. To every woman who is told to stay quiet, to every person who is called crazy for speaking truth, I'm here.